you could apply my corollary about selfishness to Donald Trump saying he's going to stop funding the war in Ukraine. Is that because he doesn't like the United States being an empire, having military bases right on the border of Russia? Or is it because he realizes if we spend $1 trillion in Ukraine over a few years, that sooner or later, that's going to have to be paid for with taxes? I don't know for sure. But what I do know is I'm happy, and I find myself shocked to be in agreement with Donald Trump about anything. But I am happy that he wants to defund that war, because the the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Milne, said over a year ago that we were never going to get all that territory back from the Russians, and we ought to negotiate. And Joe Biden has never promoted the idea we needed to negotiate. But that's where we sit. We're going to find out if Trump does get elected, which appears likely now. We'll see what he does. He says he'll end that war immediately. How would he do that? Well, he would have to do two things. He'd have to agree with Putin that they could have the amount of land they've already taken, or some portion of that, and that there'd be an announcement that the United States would not support Ukraine being made part of NATO. Being part of NATO then says that if Russia should attack again, and Ukraine was a NATO or a country, all the other countries in Europe that are members of NATO and the United States would be required by treaty to come in and spill the blood of their soldiers. So anyway, that's where it sits, and I'm glad that Trump is saying he doesn't want to continue funding a futile war there, and we'll see what happens. It would be nice if we could get a new Democratic candidate who would take that position. End of that tape. Then I want to talk a little bit about, well, if it isn't about selfishness, if republicanism isn't just about selfishness, then what else is it about? And this Republican convention is a fascinating display of what Republicans say when they're not really wanting to talk about, we just don't want to pay for these social programs, we don't want to pay for medical care for everyone, and so on. And they talk about that Biden wasn't caring enough when 11 American soldiers were killed during the withdrawal from Afghanistan, in the face of the fact that over 40,000 Palestinians have been killed in the last year. 40,000. They brought up the families of these 11 soldiers that were killed in the Afghan withdrawal. A little hard to figure the proportionality of all that, but they hammer away at that. You've got to protect American soldiers at all costs. So that's one thing. Donald Trump and now J.D. Vance they're talking about the error of the war in Iraq and all the American soldiers that were lost there in a lost cause. And one of the commentators mentioned yesterday that it's interesting that they're doing that because Republicans had so supported that war for so long. So that's about supporting American turf and being tough. That's another thing that Republicans are. and then the immigrants and the phobia against foreigners. And they talk endlessly about how they're going to take the jobs away. Well, the Hispanic people in this country are doing the jobs that, in many cases, the local people don't want to do. They're washing the dishes and they're pruning the shrubs in people's yards and all kinds of scutty work that the average U.S. citizen doesn't want to do. Nobody mentions that. It's just, oh, they're going to take our jobs. Well, eventually, these people who are doing the scutty work are going to buy a pickup, and after they have the pickup and some equipment, they may start hiring some more people, and the next thing you know, they're going to have a small business. And at some point, they will crowd. But for right now, it's so hysterical to hear them screaming about taking away jobs when the jobs they're taking are ones that most people in this state, this country, don't want. Young people, when I was young, used to pick strawberries, for example, and beans. They don't do that anymore. Their parents haul them in $20,000 and $30,000 and $40,000 SUVs to their soccer practices. They don't take them out to the strawberry patch and the bean fields. No. So a lot of what the Republicans say about their precious values are just a smokescreen and a cover-up from going back to what I've been saying, selfishness. They don't want to share. They don't care about people who economically are strapped and the struggles they're having. Otherwise, we'd have housing built for working people and even for homeless people. But no, they don't want to spend the money.